In this video, we're going to show you how to wild camp, choosing an appropriate campsite, making camp, and how to organise your pack for the next day. Whether you're just starting out or looking to improve, this video is for you. It's always worth having a little know-how when you're heading out on a new adventure. When you head out on a wild camp, it's always worth having a few spots in mind so you've got a number of different options. When you're looking for a spot to pitch your tent, you'll ideally be looking for a flat space, like a flat clearing, and somewhere quite discreet off the footpath. You should always try to seek permission from the landowner if you can before pitching your tent, but that isn't always possible, so ensure that you are pitching your tent around an hour before sunset. You're out first thing in the morning. So today I'm in this woodland clearing, and the first thing I've checked when I got here was that there weren't any dead trees around that could fall on my tent in the night. I also cleared the ground a little bit, just shoved away some of the pine cones. It really doesn't matter what kind of tent you have to go wild camping. You could have a really expensive tent or you could be borrowing something from a friend. But it's definitely worth pitching it in your garden or somewhere else before you go out so you know how to pitch it when you're out in the wild. If your tent has guy ropes and it's really windy, it's worth setting them up. My tent, for example, doesn't have any, but it has a lot of tension adjusters on each corner, so I make sure they're super tight. If there's a water source nearby, then that is ideal, so you can boil water for cooking, but if not, make sure you're carrying in enough water with you. I'm not camped near a water source today, but if I were and I needed a little bit extra, I could collect some and boil it for 3 minutes. If you are collecting water in the wild, make sure you're getting it from a fast running stream and away from any areas of pollution. So I'm carrying 2.5 litres of water here and 700 ml here, so I've got quite a lot of water on me, but I want to make sure that I'm really hydrated throughout the day and that I've got enough water for cooking and cleaning my pans. If you're doing a multi-day hike and camp, it's really important to be very well fueled. So I've got some pasta with me for some carbo energy, and I've also got a few greens, some spinach and pesto to give it a nice flavour. Throughout the day, I'll also be eating cereal bars or energy bars of some kind. And of course, I've got my tea and biscuits as well. Always try to make sure you're getting enough sleep when you're wild camping, especially if you've got a long walk out the following day. I'll usually be asleep just after sunset, even in the winter time, and then waking up with the sunrise. So there are loads of different options you could go for with your sleep system. I'm going to show you what I've got to help you make a decision on what might work for you. I actually have a summer and a winter bag. This one is my summer bag. It's really lightweight and it has a comfort rating of 0 degrees, whereas my winter bag goes much colder than that. I use a blow-up mat which is insulated, so it keeps me nice and warm, as well as packing down really small, so I barely notice it in my pack. If you're looking for a cheaper option, you could buy a cheap foam pad which will do the job on a summer's night. When you get to camp, I'd recommend putting on a warm jacket as soon as you can, because your body temperature will start to drop. I also have this little dry bag filled with spare clothes for the evening. So inside I have a buff, which I could also use as an eye mask in case it's quite light in the night, a woolly hat to keep my head warm, always bring a spare pair of socks and some thin gloves, and I also bring wool thermals to sleep in. If any of my clothes are really damp or sweaty when I get to camp, I've got 2 options. On a nice dry summer's evening, I can air dry them outside my tent, but if the weather's not so good, then I can put them into the bottom of my sleeping bag and my body temperature will hopefully dry them overnight. When you're packing your backpack in the morning, it's worth thinking about what items you might need for the hike ahead of you. So I've left a few items out here that I want to be easily accessible, such as my rain jacket, a cereal bar and my map. And before you leave your campsite, make sure you're taking absolutely everything with you, including your rubbish. Wild Camping 101, arrive late, leave early and always leave no trace. You don't need to spend a fortune on kit, but make sure you're warm and comfortable. Whether you're alone or with friends, wild camping is incredibly rewarding. You'll see dusk and dawn and be totally immersed in nature. Keep an eye out and subscribe for more videos on camping, hiking and all things wild adventure.